Yeah,
We do. I'm gonna go ahead and call it. Christine, you want to take roll call?
There you go.
Sarah Thompson,
Here.
Janice Baker,
Here.
Scott Stone,
Here.
Lonnie Rango,
here,
Tom Trotter,
here,
Mike Baker, and Jim Delap are currently absent.
Mike's on his way.
Okay,
Tom, you want to lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Got the squeaky one.
Yep. I had it last time and I will not ever sit on that side of the table again because I never know.
Maybe we could swap it out.
this
Coming
one's
in
the
with
broken
graphite.
one.
Oh, that's okay. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes and the preventive maintenance report from October?
yeah.
Yes. There's nine.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussions? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
That must have been an
That was a
eye.
delayed eye.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, motion passes. Sherry, I will move to you in the financial report.
Okay, so far we're doing really good. We should be at about, using about 34% of the budget, so. Our income's slightly under, but that's, once we receive first quarter, funds. That should balance that out, so we'll be okay there, because right now we're at 22.18. I was prepared to answer some of Jim's questions, I guess he had from last month. I don't know, if you want me to go into any of those details now, or if you and I can sit down and.
I just went
Yeah.
one-on-one if there's any questions.
Okay, all right. Payroll, we're doing really well there. Of course, we haven't hired all of our new drivers, and we were expecting buses, and then we'd hire drivers, and so none of that happened yet. So when that happens, that will be increasing. Material and services are at 25.38, which is under budget so far. So we're doing really good. Some of his questions, I think, had to do a lot with like the dues and memberships and IT and that kind of stuff last month. And a lot of those are over because of annual memberships or annual fees. So by the time the year goes out, we'll be fine. Printing and copying, I think the thing that probably is impacting that the most is the fact that we are printing more day passes, senior disabled passes, bus tickets, because our ridership's gone up like 65%. So, and we were going off of 2021 to 22 numbers off the actuals when we built the budget. So
Are those printed somewhere, or do we print those here, or what?
no, we go through Graphic Dimensions, is who prints them off for us.
They print them on the kind of paper that if you try to copy it, it will say counterfeit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And if we went electronic, would we need? We wouldn't need as many printed
We
tickets,
wouldn't
right?
need as many.
Not as many.
As we go electronic.
Yeah.
But I really don't see anything, nothing's standing out to me where we're gonna be in any kind of trouble, so, everything looks pretty good so far. Anybody have any questions about it?
That's pretty good.
Need a motion to approve?
Yeah.
Move to approve the October financial report?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the financial report. Any discussion?
Good job, Sherry.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, public comment. For on agenda items. Nobody. Okay, Jennifer.
Thank you for moving me up a little bit. I have another meeting I have to get to. Let's see, today is NTD day, due dates. So Cheryl's been working on that, trying to get that completed. And then we did get a slight increase in funding for 5311. I think you guys got an additional couple $100,000, I believe.
Another 5%.
So that's pretty cool for the 5311 funding. We just completed the last solicitation training last week. And now the first application is due for stiff discretionary on the 30th of this month. So any LOIs that were submitted, people can submit applications for those. And then if they have vehicle requests, again, these are very competitive because we have 58 million in asks and only $28 million in funding. So we'll want to really make sure that application has pinpoint targets towards those goals, the OPTD goals and the strategic action plan goals. And probably if you put in more than one LOI, you might not get all of the funding that you're looking for just because of the competitive nature of the good news is that we do, I was talking with Susan Wilson George last week, and we are looking at doing our 5310, 5304, and CARES need, and 5339 next year rather than doing it in 2024. So kind of sounds like we might be doing it in the summer of 2023 instead of 2024. So that'll be coming along and we'll let people know soon about that. They're planning to have a conference in Redmond at the Redmond Fairgrounds next year in October. So the last weekend of October. So this would be the first time we have a conference since 2019 in person. So it's very exciting if everything comes together to actually be in person. We are still waiting for the position to go out for Region 4, trying to make a determination on Region 2. So I'm still covering Region 2B portions of that and helping with Region 4. So hopefully we get some positions filled. Supposed to be interviewing for the capital program manager next week. So that's a good thing because then that'll go off of the RTC's plate as well. And then the other thing that we've been covering for is compliance, and they're interviewing for the compliance coordinator in the next couple of weeks. So we have some progress going on some of our empty positions, but not fast enough for all of us RTCs that are left because we're picking up a lot of pieces. So I think that's it. Unless you guys have any questions, you do have an extension of 2 full days on the STIF formula applications because we put it out there and it was on January 16th, which is actually a holiday. So we pushed it out 2 days. So it'll be due Wednesday, the 6th or the 18th instead of the 16th. And then the 53, 10, and 11 are due on the 20th of January. That's all, unless there's any questions.
Anyone have questions for Jennifer?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Jennifer.
Jennifer.
Thank you.
All right, Cheryl.
All right, so our ridership is up considerably. Overall, between the three, the Roseburg route, the Winston, Sutherland, and South County, we're up by 1,000 over last month. So that's pretty good. We're slowly climbing back to where we were pre-COVID, but we still have a ways to go.
Do we know why?
Do we know why?
Why the numbers are up?
Probably a combination of reasons. Part of it is with the increased frequency to Winston and Sutherland. There's better ridership there. But also part of it is probably just the cost of fuel. You know, sometimes it forces us into the
And we lowered fares.
Oh, yeah, we lowered the fares. Yeah,
You look at your disbursement, you're 400 on the fixed route, 300 on the Winston and 400 on South County, so it's pretty well dispersed.
Mhm.
mhm. Yeah,
So it's increasing everywhere.
yeah. It's good. It's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, let's see. I put a couple of things. Actually, one is for not on agenda, but we could just do it. The other page that I added into the, my general manager's report is just the timeline for the, Proterra bus, build. They are going to be here. Oh my gosh, I think it's this week, the 17th. In just a couple of days. To do take a look at our site and meet everybody in person and just kind of get a feel for what it is we're doing. They'll also be meeting with City of Sandy and one other provider that chose Proterra. Cannot remember who that one is. So they're going to come in and make it to all three of us. So beyond that, we just have been doing a whole lot of research and just your regular everyday stuff, gathering the details and the numbers for reporting and trying to keep everything in alignment. So are there any questions on the items that I listed on the report?
The reach out to UCC regarding the possibility of working with them on the apprenticeship program.
Mhm.
Is that maintenance or driving, or what was the apprenticeship program?
So it's when we bring the electric buses in and have the preventive maintenance building built next door. There is training that's included in the grant. And so we can bring at no additional charge somebody in, like we thought if we did an apprenticeship program and brought their teacher into the process with us.
That's for the maintenance side of things.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, the high voltage
Mhm.
and all of that, yeah.
Okay.
Because that's probably not something that a lot of them have worked
Pretty
with.
specialized.
Yeah, so if we get more than one person trained, it's just to our advantage. It's really hard to backtrack if we don't have somebody in place. Yeah. So yeah, beyond there's
On the question on the last one, for the different type of shelter, what was that? Are we looking at replacing shelters or just for adding shelters?
So what I was primarily looking at is for it would work for the downtown as well, but for the mall.
Mhm.
There is a shelter that you can get in multiple different lengths, so depending on the size of the
Oh, nice.
space. The footprint is small because it is the back beams and they're curved at an arch,
Mhm.
but it also provides either 5 or 7 feet, depending on what you order, of awning over the space. So it would provide an awning over the sidewalk, most of the sidewalk there at the mall, which is going to help people whether they're standing or sitting. But it has also got, instead of glass, you can choose, or plexi, you can choose a finish that is like aluminum, but it's got little holes poked in it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's
To
and
still have room to post things and.
yeah,
Schedules.
but it's lots less likely to get vandalized to the extent that we've been getting hit again. It seems to go in waves, but we've had like 3 bus shelter windows broken in the last couple of months. So
Really?
yeah,
I see spray painted and.
yeah,
Hanging, one thing with breaking out the windows, that's pretty aggressive.
the employment office is the one that's been hit lately.
Um,
Yeah, so a lot of times it's the one there at 10 down.
Big problems.
Yeah.
Huh.
Are they, are you gonna have, I mean, last time when they got when U-Trans years and years ago got the grants for bus shelters, they didn't think about putting any money aside for installation. So we had to get a bunch of Eagle Scouts together, and then we did Wolf Creek Job Corps. And the city of Roseburg helped with some of the slabs.
Yeah, I'm waiting for another grant to come through. So a lot of these grants that that Jennifer was listing off are really specific to either operations or for the seniors and people with disabilities, or like the discretionary. We have the opportunity, and what I put the LOI in for is for our software for the dispatch center, and to go with the automated fare and automated counting, those kinds of things. So breaking that into phases, so that if they can't fund the whole thing, that they can at least fund a portion of it. So
Is it gonna be then with state funds or non-federal funds?
I want to do it with non-federal
Yeah,
funds.
because it'd be
That's-
too expensive for federal.
Yeah, there's a lot of strings attached
Yeah.
to the federal.
And the
Yeah.
environmental review for a bus stop will shoot that thing up to 80 grand to put a bus stop in.
Yeah, it's
Right.
expensive stuff. Yeah, so that's what I'm waiting on. And with the numbers for the discretionary, I didn't figure that was our best option. So, yeah, and we have enough projects right now.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're thinking of shelter, we're thinking about how to put them in too.
Yes,
How to
absolutely.
put them together, put them in.
And so we have some stiff funding that is specific for some, a number of shelters. One of them was designated at the mall. One was Myrtle Creek, and I believe the other one was in Winston. So at least those 3 shelters, if we can get those in and knocked out, then go from there on the list. And Randy has done a significant inventory, a very detailed inventory. So we know which shelters are in the worst shape and really do need replacing, and which ones are still adequate.
When we get
And
this
we'll
build
do-
over here, we'll have a place to actually
Store
put some
things,
material and store them.
right?
Extra pieces, and just imagine. We
Yeah,
used to store them at the public workshop for years and years, and
Yeah.
the plastic was all. Just kind of touching and break, but then it was really hard to get off.
yeah. So, other than that, I might as well just put it in here. We were gonna do this on, not on agenda, but as part of my report, I could just do it now. The invitation, well, so they sent out the plans for the Oregon 42 and Looking Glass Creek to Interstate 5. And the changes that they were planning to make. And so the first thing that I noted is that our bus stops are not shown as having pullouts. And so I reached out to Heather Neval, she was the contact person. And so she put us on the contact list and invited us to the open house, which is
Tomorrow
it's
between
tomorrow.
5 and 7.
And it's at Winston Middle School. And so if you live in the area and have interest for that reason, or if you just want to go and there's also the option to do input online as well. But wanted to give you the opportunity to go and look at the design for what they're planning to do. And we have at Rolling Hills where they're going to put the stoplight. We have a bus stop there that they're putting in ADA improvements, but it did not include the bus stop. So hopefully we can get that incorporated.
Like a sidewalk from the ramp to the shelter or to the stop, or
Just a pullout so that we're not still, right now we're between the fog lane and the edge of the pavement
Mhm.
to drop people off. And when you, depending on where you're dropping, sometimes we're letting them off into the steep downhill.
right?
Sometimes it's just a foot or so and it's not that big of a deal, but sometimes
You need
it's
a flat landing surface
Yeah.
for people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what we've been doing there and on 42 is if we would typically drop somebody off at Rolling Hills, we're stopping back at Heatherwood. And blocking the lane blocking the lane to Heatherwood. In order to be able to drop them onto the pavement.
Mhm.
So it's something that we've been working with, but it would definitely create an issue if we don't get it there. There's 4 stops that it would affect. So Grange Road on the opposite side.
Heatherwood and that church driveway are planned to eventually close, so
Oh, yeah.
not with this project, but in a future project.
So then that would be a perfect
Yeah.
place to build out a.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Doing a near side or far side stop, do you think?
Yeah.
Going near side or far side,
Of,
the intersection?
so when,
Should be on the far side, I would think, right? Oh, this isn't signalized, so,
I mean, that will
Well, it will
will
be.
be here.
no, well, oh, Rolling Hills, yeah, it should
Rolling
be
Hills
on
will
the,
Far
so
side,
it was,
ideally, you'd put it on the far side, because on the near side, you block traffic.
and also it makes it hard for the bus to get out.
Yeah,
Once traffic backs up.
well, that's true too.
yeah, you almost always put bus stops on the far side.
So the reason that we've done I hadn't looked at it as near side and far side, it was before Rolling Hills headed towards Winston to the west. Is because that's where the bus actually gets off the road and can drop onto the,
I wonder if they could fit it over there though, because it would work better on the far side of a signal now that it's signalized.
I'll take it wherever they
Yeah.
put it.
Well, I mean, it's safer.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're not stopping traffic in almost a lane, you know, when you're parked on the near side, so you go to the far side. And handle it there, so it doesn't impact traffic operations as much, especially with the U-turners and things like that.
Yeah, there's
So
gonna
so
be,
you got U-turners now trying to get in there, and it's not really a really long turn. I think they're gonna find that that's probably not big enough, but that'll be in the future, but anyway, I would put it on the other side if you could. Yeah.
okay. Okie dokie, yeah, so that was that.
And there may be able to, you know, if you put it over there and you put a pullout in there, just to have a little piece of sidewalk that gets you back to Rolling Hills Road or something. In there, so that you've got that, you get back to hard surface for people to travel if they're on a wheelchair.
Yeah, so the bike path is not that far away from the edge of the pavement. So if they actually created a pullout, we'd probably be able to drop right onto the bike path. Because of how far the lift drops down.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but
They could always adjust the bike path too, it's just
Mhm.
asphalt, but yeah.
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 Yeah, just make it a smooth all the way. Oh, they want it separated. All right, any other questions?
Will it affect the routes at all?
And if we don't have a pullout, it would definitely affect them.
Why they didn't take that into consideration? Was it just an oversight or just get missed or?
I think that it didn't get forwarded because I was in a meeting, like a multimodal meeting when the first multimodal became the buzzword, you know? So we're talking maybe 7 years ago.
Oh,
And the plan that got put on the table in front of my group was actually this project. And so we marked the bus stops and stuff like that then.
But that was the plan, so that was the planning piece of it,
Yeah,
the expressway plan, and then now this is the project, so there was no funding for a project at the time. And so
oh,
this is a completely separate it builds off of that, but it's a completely separate process,
okay,
that's why. You
Yeah.
can see that,
so now we need to.
but they need to make sure that they're contacting transit.
because that's, I mean.
That's pretty basic.
As far as this corridor and amount of traffic on here, those pullouts are, they're
Necessary,
needed, yeah, absolutely.
yeah. The drivers mentioned that on
Mhm.
occasion as well.
Mhm.
They're used to it now, but they would definitely prefer to. Well, so some of our newer buses, when I was driving, you could always just hop from the driver's seat over the doghouse and you're in the bus downstairs, drop the lift and not an issue. You're never entering traffic. But some of these newer buses that you can't get over, you can't maneuver that way. You have to exit the driver door and go around and get to the lift that way.
One of the worst accidents I witnessed as a bus driver was at a near side stop.
Oh,
Let off a kid and it was pouring rain at night. And green light. But the near side stopped, so anyway, he ran right in front of the bus, got hit
Oh, my
20
goodness.
miles an hour. Threw him about 30 feet, called the ambulance and stuff. Yeah, the far side stop is,
Yeah, you'll get rear end accidents, you get all sorts of stuff.
if it's a far side stop, then people have to cross behind the bus, if they're more inclined to want to go use the crosswalk and stuff, and then
Yeah,
we'll see the cars.
Mhm.
But I think you're on near side, people take
Yeah.
that risk all the time too.
yeah, they do.
There's stops up in Portland that I used to do on different routes that were near side, and I learned after that, just you can't really control people or anything, but I'd ask them to wait till the bus left, but people run across because they see the bus, other bus coming that way or something, and
They're at a stage though, the design process in here that you probably want to talk to them pretty quick.
Yeah.
yeah.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, I did send the information over to Heather. And I did a snip and drew on there where the stops were. So I highlighted where we stop right now. But I hadn't thought about because I was not familiar with that near side, far side terminology.
That's good.
Yeah, anytime there's a signal, you always want to be on the other side of it.
Other
so you
side.
can.
All right. All right, see, I inherited the system the way that it is.
Did you ever get hold, by the way, of the city of Winston? On their RV park that they want to put in and with the road right through the bus stop
No,
and no bus,
I did not.
anything there?
I did not.
Yeah,
I thought you were gonna ask about City of
we've
Roseburg.
mentioned it to them. Well, City of Winston, we've mentioned it to them and we're trying to write policies in place that make them, require them to contact you and things.
Be a part of that
Because
process.
they're yeah, we're being recorded. So anyway, so just to make sure that there's some policies and things and ordinances in place.
Yeah.
Um,
So I thought you were gonna ask about the Veterans Day Parade shuttle.
no, I was just the Winston thing. Yeah, so.
So I shot an email off, but I also did a lot of reading. I went back through and read the FTA regulations. And the exceptions require that in the instance where a nonprofit is asking for the accommodation,
Mhm.
it has to be something that we're willing to do for free. And they have to be asking for it for a specific reason that is, and it lines it all out, what you can and you cannot do. And so honestly, the only thing that wasn't brought out that night is it wasn't a request that was made to me in a timely manner that I could have attempted to do it, but we couldn't even get a driver on Veterans Day for the parade because it was a 3-day weekend, it's a federal holiday and everybody wanted the day off.
I don't worry about things like that. I mean, really, it's an hour. That it shut down there, so,
Yeah,
it's not like it, maybe something like, if they were, but it's already handled really, but graffiti and things like that, where it's more of an all day. Kind of thing, it's multiple things.
yeah.
But even then,
Was there any update with that homeless service that camp with themselves?
No, I have not had the opportunity to reach out to them. I need to do that though. I need to write that down because that left.
I'm pretty
my-
sure that Veterans Day parade is a lot longer than an hour. It's like 3 or 4 hours with all the disruption.
maybe two. I've been
So they
lots of them.
shut the streets down pretty early. Yeah,
It's roughly from around 10 to noonish.
yeah. Well, so we were at the top of Fowler. And by the time that the first folks that had started out the parade were finished, we hadn't even moved yet. So the beginning of the parade walked past us
Oh, really?
as we were
Huh.
waiting in line. Yeah,
That's fun.
yeah. Homeless. There we go.
Yeah, maybe it's something we can look into more for this coming year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that it was pretty tight for you guys trying to do anything this year, but for next year, I think we could at least.
Well, and honestly, if we make the arrangements with the city of Roseburg, they have to register as somebody who's requesting charter service, and it has to go through an RFP process. And if even one company bids on it, we can't provide the service. So if City of Roseburg is the one that is making the request, which is appropriate because they're the ones that are putting on the event.
No, they're not.
They're not?
No, it's the Veterans Office in Douglas County. It's a department of Douglas County that does it.
Oh, okay.
And City of Roseburg just provides permits and traffic control
And the,
things like that.
See, it's the department of.
It's the Veteran Affairs or the whatever it is with the county.
okay,
It's right across from City Hall. We need to really straight across and downstairs. It's actually right where U-Trans used to be.
oh,
You know,
okay,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. right down
Used to be in the, what's now the DAF building, right?
In by the library, it used to be the old library.
Back in the health department. when it
No,
used to
no,
be.
no, not the Adapt building. It's in at the courthouse.
I mean, just back in the day, because I remember there being like a veterans.
Oh, it might have been at one time. I don't know, but it's been down kind of
Okay,
downstairs a
county
little
office.
bit there. Yeah.
alrighty. So that's it, and that's all for me.
The county could apply.
Okay, any non-agenda items?
I have one.
Yeah,
So I know TriMet, their board, I think they just unanimously voted to increase fare by 8% or something. And they're preparing for the CARES funding to dry up. They've been relying on that because their ridership is really plummeted. So I was wondering if there's if that's a concern here, if we rely very much on the funding from the CARES Act. And if that might be a possibility, we would have to consider a change in the fares.
So we recently got, we'll have more CARES funding coming in this round.
Yeah.
But for us, it was not nearly as significant of an amount as it was for some of the larger agencies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we haven't really relied on it much, but.
Well, it made the difference with the increased cost of preventive maintenance and fuel. It made the difference between us being able to continue running business as usual or having to cut routes based on the increase of
Yeah.
cost to run. Yeah,
So,
that's what it made.
I mean, that's not guaranteed to be something that continues, right? So,
Mm-mm. No, but that is one of the reasons that we are so thankful to have the medical transportation income. Yeah.
do you think we'll be okay once that goes away?
My experience has been when one dries up, a different one
Yeah.
comes forward. It might be a year or so in between. But something that Jennifer had mentioned, the 5311 is a formula-based fund. And so the formula, the most growth that it would allow was 110%. So you got 100% of what you got last year, and 10% more was the most that you could grow. And what that did is it caused an $8 million pot of money that wasn't being allocated. And so that was part of what I got to do, is participate in that. How do we allocate this and get it to the people that have grown exponentially, but not hurt the little guy, and make sure everybody gets funded. And so,
So basically it covered what you spent last year plus inflation.
yeah, not quite.
Yeah.
Yeah, not quite. So, yeah, very, very interesting process and I was glad to get to be a part of that.
So, we'll address if there's an issue in the future, then I guess. Right.
Mhm.
And TriMet's just being proactive, I think.
well, we just reduced our fares,
Yeah.
so we're.
Go the other way.
Yeah, so the reduction in fare is probably one of the drivers in the increased
Yeah.
ridership. But I believe TriMet, the cost of the system that they run for their various different fare options is a huge expense.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
print the tickets on, they print on every bus too. But, yeah, they also have, their ridership has not increased very much, probably that's security reasons.
Yeah.
But, yeah, there's multiple reasons. They also have a lot harder time getting people employees right now. So they have other things going on, so. But anyway, just wanted to raise that up, just keep it in mind.
Yeah,
Good point.
we still have another year before that one goes away.
Yeah.
So,
Any other NOAs? Okay, public comment? Okay, agenda build, anything specific for next month?
so by next month, we should have a list of projects for funding. So we'll have to address the funding allocations. We did the public notice and the request for applications for the 5310 and the stiff that is replacing the STF. So it's the population-based stiff funding. And it is almost exactly the same amount of stiff funding as what we previously had in STF. And so far, we've had all but one of our providers has turned in an application that looks reasonable. And I don't anticipate any issues with that. But what I have to do is build out that stiff project. Yeah. And we'll be able to approve those at our January meeting and still get the applications in on time.
Anything else anybody wants to see on the agenda next month?
Is there any update about repairing that bus?
Which one?
Since we're getting those vehicles delivered, I don't know if that's on the agenda still, but we had that one bus that was out of commission. They were considering rehabilitating.
Oh, it's still sitting there waiting. We haven't made a decision on that yet.
Oh, just to update, I guess, next time on where we're at with the facilities. With the lot next door and kind of where all that is and what's going on there.
We just got a new person.
Randy's excited.
Oh, it's Natasha.
They have two connectors.
Oh, yeah.
I bet she's connecting because she needed to say something and couldn't. No?
Because I need to leave my office.
Okay.
Okay. We are adjourned.